Since Brexit, Great Britain has apparently had problems supplying people with enough medication. And The Guardian reports that in mid-December, almost 100 medicines were on a Ministry of Health shortage list. Since then, another 10 medications are said to have been registered for this list. And The Guardian writes that there are now around twice as many drugs on the shortage list as there were 2 years ago. Experts say that the drug shortage is due to the fact that the British pound has been worth less since Brexit, and this makes it more expensive for the National Health Service to buy medicines abroad. In addition, taxation of manufacturers is said to be a problem, and there are supply chain problems. A pharmacists association speaks of an unprecedented situation on the medication market, and the problem is now worse than ever. And according to this report by The Guardian, many medicines have become in short supply in Great Britain. And as I said, one of the reasons for this is indeed Brexit. According to the newspaper report, the shortage of medicines in Great Britain has worsened significantly. As of December 18th, 96 medicines were on that shortage list, as The Guardian wrote on Monday, citing figures from the British Ministry of Health. And since then, difficulties with 10 other pharmaceuticals have been reported to the NHS. And that's about twice as many medications as 2 years ago. And according to some organizations and the pharmacists, the health of patients worsened as a result. Experts cited the fall in the purchasing value of the pound since the Brexit referendum in 2016 as one reason, and this makes it more expensive for the NHS to procure medicines abroad. The taxation of manufacturers also contributes to the shortages, and supply chain problems are everywhere, as we know. The Ministry of Health in London admitted problems with a limited number of medicines, and according to The Guardian, all kinds of treatments are affected. Most recently, a drug to control epileptic seizures was added to the list of deficiencies. Community Pharma England called the situation unprecedented. Pharmacists have been struggling to get prescription drugs for months, but the problem is worse than ever, said Association Chief Janet Morrison. In addition, the NHS has to pay ever higher reimbursements for medicines that were sold to customers below market prices. According to the Nuffield Trust, the number of medicines imported from the EU has fallen sharply since Brexit, and this shows a higher risk for Great Britain in the event of supply chain problems. The issue of medicine shortages in the UK has been a growing concern since the country's exit from the European Union in 2020. While there are various factors contributing to these shortages, Brexit has been identified as a significant contributor. The British Generic Manufacturers Association has reported a significant increase in medicine shortages in the UK since Brexit, and in September 23, the number of drug products listed as being in short supply reached 102, double the previous high in February 22. And this trend has continued, with the government listing more than 100 drugs on the shortage list in mid-December. The BGMA attributes these shortages to a number of factors. There's increased administrative burden and costs associated with post-Brexit border controls. There's a shortage of haulage workers due to stricter immigration rules and labor market changes. And there are supply chain disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. But there's also increased demand for medicines due to an aging population and rising healthcare costs. The impact of these shortages on patients can be severe, and patients may have difficulty obtaining their medications, which can lead to missed doses, treatment delays, and potential health complications. And in some cases, patients may have to switch to alternative medications that may not be as effective or suitable for their needs. In addition to medicine shortages, the UK has also experienced shortages of other goods and services since Brexit. You will remember the videos that I made that some supermarkets have reported shortages of certain fruits, vegetables, and other products due to labor shortages and supply chain disruptions. And there have been occasional shortages of fuel at petrol stations, primarily caused by panic buying and supply chain disruptions. And the construction industry has been affected by shortages of timber, steel, and other materials due to increased demand and supply chain disruptions. And many sectors, such as hospitality, transportation, and healthcare, have been struggling with staffing shortages due to Brexit's restrictive immigration policies. The government has taken some steps to address these shortages, such as streamlined customs procedures and temporary visas for essential workers. However, these measures have not been enough to fully resolve the issues. And the UK's exit from the European Union has had a significant impact on the country's supply chains, leading to shortages of various goods and services. And while Brexit is not the sole cause of these shortages, it has exacerbated the problem and made it more difficult to resolve. The government and businesses will need to continue to work together to find long-term solutions to these challenges. They never can be challenged completely. Brexit, the decision of the United Kingdom to leave the European Union, was a highly controversial topic, and there are many reasons why people believe it was a stupid idea. And one of the main reasons why Brexit is considered to be a bad idea is that it will damage the UK economy, and it already did. The UK was a major trading partner with the EU, and leaving the Union made it more difficult and expensive for UK businesses to export goods and services. And this already led to job losses and a decline in economic growth. And another concern was that Brexit weakens the UK's influence in the world. The UK is a member of the G7, the UN Security Council, and other important international organizations. Leaving the EU made it more difficult for the UK to cooperate with its allies on a range of issues, including trade, security, and climate change. And in addition, Brexit led to greater political instability in the UK, as we could see. The country is deeply divided over the issue of EU membership, and there is no consensus on what kind of relationship the UK should have with the EU now. And this leads to increased political polarization and kind of gridlock in Westminster. And finally, Brexit is seen by many as a betrayal of the UK's commitment to European cooperation and integration. The UK has been a member of the EU since 1973, and it has benefited greatly from membership. Leaving the EU was a significant setback for European integration, and it sends the message that the UK is no longer committed to working with its European neighbors. And if you want to know more, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.